Shut up, Nick. He's distracting me and I'm working here for once. Check it out. Massive stack of living organisms. That's an inoculant. That's gonna go down with the peas. And those little microorganisms, they love pea roots. And they create what's called nodules, or let's just say they nodulate. And those nodules are highly concentrated with nitrogen, and nitrogen's good for the crop in our ground. So that's why we do it. But I'm gonna start this international up. I'm gonna start this blue peat up. I'm gonna get the air built up in them because they've been sitting for about a week, fully loaded, heavy with barley in them. And I gotta get this seed in the bin. It got cold when we got back with these and we weren't able to get it put away, but I'd like to just leave it on the trucks for a month, but I hate just having all that weight sit there. So I'm gonna take it off the trucks, put it in the bin, and then we'll pull it out of the bin as we need for barley planting. Let's start it. All right, well, that's building up some air and warming up. Let's go get the pickup. And I'm gonna go grab that Batco conveyor from AGI, and I'm gonna take that thing over and put it on a small 2,200 bushel bin. That'll take most of that truck, well actually all that truck and most of the next truck, and we might have to move to another bin. I bet you guys can't guess what these two bad boys are for. These are fresh from the factory, literally just got off the press, if you want to call it that. I don't know if it's a press or whatever, they use a mold. And yes, it's going on our spray trailer with the Mixmate. And these, not only are gonna be an upgrade in gallons, we're gonna have another 300 gallon capacity that we already have, but no more algae growing in our tanks. Well, light gets through and green stuff grows in there, and green stuff grows in there, and it hardens and it leaves chunks. The chunks get caught in our sprayer filters, and then we have thousands and thousands of dollars of sprayer incidences in our fields because our water wasn't clean to begin with. These babies, because they're black, no sun's getting in, which means nothing's growing in that water, which means our water's gonna stay nice and clean. They're also not flat bottoms, so that way sediment and stuff doesn't sit on the bottom. It'll flow out smooth. So anyways, we'll get these on soon. But yeah, another thing to do. It's gonna look sweet though. Big black tanks, I'm excited. Back in the shop again. This is the Series 2. This is our second biggest big bud. It actually, size-wise, is actually bigger than the Series 3, which is our 600. We call this the KTA 525. Same engine as in the other bud. It's an 1150 K19 Cummins engine. This one's set at 5.25 horse. The other one's set at like 600, 650, somewhere in that area. We're not entirely sure where it's at, but it's above 600. This is the Series 2, and they say Series 2, it was quite a bit different in design between the Series 2 and Series 3. The Series 1, which is our N14 435, is like a baby version of this. Really similar, and the biggest differences are the center of the tractor. This is the articulation center of the tractor. And how they did it back in the day, which is like the old Wagners and some others, is there's a big brass bushing in here. This frame here is attached to here, and it can pivot left and right, which allows this rear axle to tilt like this. And then it's hinged up here and down here, which then lets your tractor steer. Well, that's great. It's simple, but there's grease zerks here that have to be greased often, and this grease zerk in the front's not taking grease. So I'm gonna try to jack the tractor up in the center to see if I can take that weight off it so that hopefully it'll open a big enough gap to take grease in that grease zerk. There we go. Okay, got it, broke loose. That's good to get grease in there. So now I'm gonna check some oil levels in the rear ends and the transmission, and this tractor's about ready. Except for still, there's some things going on in the cab there, which we haven't shown you guys yet. We're not ready yet. Well, things have changed again. It's like 70 degrees outside, but it is windy. Didn't surprise you there. I'm gonna head over to our graveyard, or I guess they call them the boneyard. We've got an old air drill tool. That's that thing right there. It's all wung up, and it's exhausted. It's been a parts machine, and we're gonna continue to take parts off it. And it's got a whole bunch of shanks on it that are in good shape, but the problem is they're stuck in the ground because we took the cylinders off of it, the lift cylinders, and it sunk down. So I'll take the 844 loader. I'm gonna drive over there. I'm gonna flip a wing upside down, and then I'm gonna take this Milwaukee and a couple tools, and I am going to take a shank off, or 2, or maybe 10, and then bring them over here as spares, because we are gonna break some this year. Shanks just break over time. So let's get to it. There we go. Those are shanks. They're the wrong color, though they are red, that's the right color, but the air drill that we're running these on is, well, they're kind of a dark blue. That's okay, we'll use them still. There, that ought to do it. You're probably wondering what I'm doing with this mix cone that came off of a sprayer and this little doohickey thingy that didn't work last year for me. What I tried to do last year is with the peat that we use, the inoculant that we put on our peas, it's a very fine black powder. It's kind of sticky, but it's just a mess. When the wind comes up, it blows in your face and so forth. And we're sitting there with bags metering it into the auger, the cart, so that way we can blend it with the peas so we can get it all over it. So the idea is we're gonna use the suction cone here, this big old chemical suction hose. And this little auger bit that I made last year, as you can see, that's the metering. So I'm gonna attach this to that, use a drill, and we can meter it. But the idea was there, and Dad, Nick, and I were talking, and we decided we're gonna see if we can make it work this year. So I'm gonna start figuring out, and if I can make it work, it might save us a lot of headache. And yeah, let's get to work. Okay, here's the issue that I'm dealing with. When they form this, they have a mold, they put the beads in it, heat it all up, roll the thing around, or however the process it is to make this plastic little cone. Well, they've got this nice wonderful bump out right here. It's in the way. So when I'm turning the inoculant around and my mixing, it's gonna keep catching on that, and that's not a good thing to do. They also have two little knobs in there that need to be pushed down. So I took the heat gun, heated up one side, just curious to see if I can melt it and push it down, and it worked out pretty good. The big one's gonna be an issue. And then I also have another hole to patch. So maybe I'll bring out the plastic welder and see if I can weld on it. I don't know if I can. Might be able to find a piece, but maybe just have to tape it up for the time being, because this is the prototype. And we need a name for the prototype. Randall. That's what I'm gonna call this thing. Randall. Randall the First. Okay, let's make this thing happen. No, technically this is Randall the Second, because I already made the other one last year that didn't really work, and I chopped it up. So this is Randall the Second. So, okay, Randall the Second, we will make you work this time. If not, there might be a Randall Third. 3-ish.
So I'm using the heat gun, and I had to cut a piece of plastic on the bottom so that we could fit it in that little thing that I'm making. I'm using those scrap pieces, and I'm heating them up and folding it into that hole. Shut up, Nick! He's distracting me, and I'm working here for once. But anyways, I'm using those scrap pieces, and I'm filling that other hole, and it's working pretty good. Looks hideous, but it's working. It is not pretty at all. But the inside seems to be pretty smooth for the most part. And I think it's good to go for right now. Holes are patched. That's all that matters, guys. They're patched.
I've got the ripper, got to clean up a couple areas that didn't get done last fall, just small areas. Ripped around the shop where we had the grain bags. But I took off to see how it would work and I missed somebody. Are you ready? You want to go? Come on. Let's go. Come over here. Come over here. What do you think, huh? You ready? What do you say, huh? All right. I think the season almost officially has started, right? So I'm freehanding it, old school, and I feel very comfortable with the old school. Shut the door. All right. What I'm doing right now is ripping out the tracks of the spreader trucks that came out last summer and spread manure on this piece here, on a part of it. So I'm just doing this, which this is all probably 25 acres or so, something like that is probably what they got spread here. I can't even hear myself talk. There. Now I can hear you. I was reading some of the comments, and you guys really appreciate the continuity that we continue to have as a family, as we're farming. You know, it's great to be able to work together, know your limits, and know when you keep your mouth shut. Sometimes, you know, it's best just to kind of let things go. We really don't have much conflict, but I guess that's a good way to just keep it. With the operation, we all know our strengths, and we rely on those. So it's just great. But anyway, do appreciate all of those of you that are following us, and just really look forward to each video. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next round.